Good morning. It is Sunday, November 3rd, 2024. It is 8:30 in the morning. I'm going to do a quick little thing this morning on Davinci Resolve Part 2, and I'm going to discuss more media. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I don't think we need to see my lovely face with the wonderful, juicy background restaurant, so I'm going to turn that off just to be able to hear my voice. So I set this up a little bit, and I recommend you do the same thing. Go in and get your media that you're going to use by right-clicking, import media, go to the location you want it. In this particular case, I have this on my streamer machine in my downloads, and I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 different folders connected to the Davinci machine. So if I wanted to grab something out of OBS, I could go in there, go into the data, not resources, I think it's under, and there is more data, more media to use, if you will. I'm gonna bring this Camaro in. I had a Camaro just like this, so I'm gonna bring this baby in. And I wanted to point out it's highlighted. You're never going to get lost on what you forgot. Now you can do this a different way as well. You can drop and drag this into the timeline, but I don't think you can drop and drag. In fact, I know you can't drop and drag it from a different machine that's connected to your network. Pardon me, I got the sniffles this morning. So to get media from to drop and drag, you would have to go to your local machine, which in this case is my C drive, and then I don't know that I have anything on there. I guess I do. So if I were to move this to a different monitor, if you're if you have two monitors, or even just just shrink it down a little bit, I think I can do that. And then shrink it down a little bit more. Let's just say I want to grab this Halloween picture. I can left click on it, drag it straight into my timeline, and of course that doesn't work. Why is that not working? That should work. I know you can drop and drag. I do it all the time, and it's not letting me do it for some reason. Interesting. Maybe this is something they've changed. I'm on my C drive. Let's try that again. Right click, import media. Now that one I know I can't do because that's on my network. I can't do that because that one won't let me do it. It's on my network. And if I go to my local drive, which is on my Davinci machine, still not letting me do it. Interesting. I will have to look into this because I should be able to drop and drag this in here. I'm not sure why it's not letting me. And I don't want to dwell on this. I don't want to spend a lot of time going down this troubleshooting. This isn't about troubleshooting at all. This is about being able to bring in it's just not going to let me for some reason. I'll have to look into that. So anyway, to bring in media, right click, import your media, go to your location. In this case, this is going to be still on my streamer machine. So if I want to go back to my local machine, which is my Davinci machine, just use your arrow key back, or just click this local PC, go to wherever you have your data, which in this case is going to be my downloads, and I've demonstrated some of these already. We'll just bring in this one, click it, highlight it, it marks it, and then you can bring it in. I don't need it, so I'm going to get rid of it. Now you'll notice this one, the bubbles had the box around it, letting you know that's your last one, and the Camaro lost it. So I know I want this Camaro, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring it down here. And then I'm going to close the media pool. So here's another interesting thing you should point out. I have mine set to default for 15 seconds. So to check that, you can do it a couple different ways. If you're good with math, you can see you're at 10 seconds. You can bring it in, hit the arrow key to go over to the next one, and then go one more time, and it's 25 seconds. Or you can come up here, take it back to 0000, hit the arrow key, and it's going to go like that, which is horrible. Or you can just 000, go to the end, then you come in here and take your playhead and you go 1, 2, 3 seconds, grab it, bring it back, and now it's 3 seconds in length. This is a good point to bring up at this point in time. Now you'll see that we have a mess. This is what I want to show today more than anything. I want to show you some of the things you can do and that I frequently do with media. So this is a mess. It's layers. If I were to close this track off, and then this track, and then this track, and then we get down to the only track that's visible. The top track will always take priority, no matter what. So if your top track is big, you're going to scratch your head and go, why can't I see what's underneath it? I know that there's something underneath it. Well, it's because the top takes priority. So now why that didn't come, there we go, didn't get it back far enough. And another interesting thing to point out here is you can zoom this, you can position this, you can use the inspector, or you can use this box right here. It's in the paid version. I can't speak for the non-paid version because I've got the studio or the paid version. You can click on that, brings up the box, and you can do a lot of things in here. You can move it, you can size it, you can rotate it. Everything you can do to the inspector, you can do with this box. There's several choices in this box: transform, crop, dynamic zoom, the FX overlay, fusion overlay, annotations, and smart reframing. I'll be doggone if I'm not trying to come down with something this morning. Golfing may get postponed. So let's get this back to some semblance of making sense. So it looks okay. Kind of covering up the part two. Kind of. I don't like the square, but to put everything back, you can either double click on the word itself, or you can hit the go back button or this counterclockwise arrow, or if the dot is there in here, which sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, you can hit the dot and it'll put it back. So let's just put this back to 100%. That's where it was at, and that looks fine there. I was going to show this over here, but I'll go ahead and do it now. Actually, I won't. I'm going to show you another neat. So, media. You have a video, which is going to play, movement, and you have a still, which is not going to move. So you have video, and you have still, and you have audio. That's your basic media right there. Video, stills, more stills, and then audio. So what can we do to make this look better? Well, there's a couple different things you can do. First thing I want to do is I want to change the size of the car. Now, I'm getting better at using this to size it, but for the most part I always use this because it's just the way I taught myself how to do this. But let's say I want that car to be about that size right there. And let's say I want it to be about right, maybe there. It's a little too big yet. We're going to size it down to about right there. And then we're going to move it. I think that's fine. So that looks pretty good. We're going to turn this off. Now I'm going to do what I do all the time when I make my thumbnails, when I put things together. This is how I do it. I'm going to come up here to this slider and I'm going to make this box a little bigger. It's just so that I can see it. It has no effect on the timeline whatsoever. It just expands it, makes it bigger, makes it easier to see. That's all it's doing. So now I'm going to bring the playhead over so that I highlight the car. You have your edit, your fusion, your color tab. Well, I'm going to use the color tab. In the color tab, there's about 100,000 things you can do. Obviously, that's an exaggeration. There's not 100,000 things. I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't, but there isn't that I know of. I don't use the color tab for the coloring purposes. I do need to learn it. I'm working on that. But the first thing I want to do is I want to right click. I want to add an alpha node, alpha output node. By doing that, it puts this blue node down here. I'm going to connect the blue out square to the blue in circle. I know you're saying to yourself, nothing happened. And you're right. Nothing did happen. Picture still looks the same. So I'm going to use the magic mask. You can use any of these things down here to do this, but I prefer using the magic mask. The magic mask will bring up magic mask. You have object, you have person. Most of the time I do it with an object because I have found it does a better job. So I'm going to click on object. Then you have the two ink blotters, or ink, whatever they're called. Let's go with blotters. You have the plus and the minus. And just like what it says, plus adds. So we're going to put our marker right here and we're just going to draw a line over this car, just like that. And just like that, I have masked out that car. Well, that looks terrible. Let's take it away. Well, let's take and go to the minus sign. Then we're going to take away the building. Oh, but wait, it took away everything. And this is a problem that I've been having, and this is why when I do this, I have a specific way that I do it. Personal preference. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go back to the plus, and we're just going to draw a line over the car. Now you'll notice I'm not going the entire car. All right, we're just doing a straight line across the car. You have faster, super quick. You have better. If you watch here, better makes a little bit of a difference, and it brings in the shadows and it brings in some of the grass. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get that background out, but that's fine. That's class. So we're going to go to the minus sign. And we're going to try to get rid of this grass right here by barely hitting that grass. Okay, that got rid of that. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. That got rid of that. But as you see, as you do this, that doesn't look too bad. I like the shadow. So I'm going to keep the shadow. And then if there's a little bit more, you can come down here to clean black and slide the slider and get rid of the shadows a little bit. And again, it's personal preference. I think that looks really good right there. Now, I learned this the hard way. If you don't track this out, even though it's a still picture, you have issues. And I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to track it out first. And it's done. Then we're going to go back to the edit page. Then we're going to take this still. No, it didn't get that. I got to go back and do it. We're going to take this still and we're going to move it back over here. We're going to hit the home key on our keyboard And there it is. What looked to be horrible to begin with, and we'll just bring the Camaro back in here. I could do it a different way, but we took this picture right here, we moved it from here, we brought it down to here, and when it was all said and done, we have this. Now that looks okay, but it's still a little big. Now, why do you track it? Very good question. So I can come in here and grab this, grab a corner, and just bring this car down just a little bit in size, and I can drag it down just a little bit right there, maybe a little bit more in size. And again, I'm not a professional. I just eyeball things, and whatever I think looks good, that's what I go with. To me, that looks pretty good. And if we hit play, the car goes away. Oh wait, but I don't want the car to go away. I want the car to be there for the entire 3 seconds. It's 2 seconds, and 2 frames. So drag it back over here, because if you go into the color tab now, I don't think you can retract this, but I'm going to try. This is an experiment. This is a Doug Betts rabbit hole. So I'm just going to try to retract this without moving it. I always move it in the past, but let's just try something different today. So I'm going to hit track, and we're going to go back to the edit page. That's terrible. We're going to go to the beginning. Got a little bit of stuff here. And then when that plays, it's going to have a little bit of stuff on the end. So, it tracked. That's cool. I like that. Now, let's try it again. But this time, let's move it over here separately. Go to the color tab. Make sure we're on the takeaway sign. And let's just grab that little bit right there. That looks pretty good. And then I know I can't see it, but I keep seeing a little bit right in there. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to retrack it again. Go back to the edit page. Put our media back where it was at. Go to the beginning. Hit play. The car should stay there. Yeah, now you can see right here. You can see right there the little bit of grass is coming through. So that's going to take me some finessing, but overall I'm happy with this. Overall I like how that looks. I really do like the fact that we brought in the still and we moved it, we reduced the size, and we put it in the foreground. Now remember, layers. Whatever's on the top takes the place of everything else. So if we close off, if we turn these off, then it's just the car. It's all just layering. The Davinci right here is in the background. Then we bring a title in, then we bring another title in, then we bring in some media. So that is that. It's pretty easy after you get used to doing it. And audio is just audio. You can put audio down here. You can put 100 audio tracks in there if you want. I haven't really tested 100 audio tracks, but you get the point. So let's clean this up a little bit. Let's bring these over to here, because you'll notice there was a little bit of a gap right there. Well, I want it to be butted up against that. Same thing here. There's a little bit of a gap. We're just going to butt that up against that. It will click in. It will click in. As long as this magnet right here is on, it'll click in. If it's not on, it won't click in, and you can really mess some things up. So I try to make sure that this is always clicked in, and then when it gets to where I want it, it clicks in and tells me, hey, you're there, stop, don't go any further. You can go further, but I don't want to.